live. And it's great because it's Mother's Day weekend, and I'm excited to go live with you here to talk about, well, to answer your questions and to talk about motherhood and all the things that motherhood means. And I'm just excited to be here and launch YouTube. Okay, so if you have a question, definitely mention it in the chat box. I will be viewing the chat to pick up your questions. And we had some questions on Facebook and we had some questions on Instagram. So I'm going to be grabbing those questions as well. So if you're here, come on and say hello. Tell me who you are. Tell me what you're doing this weekend and let's chat. Okay, so I am just coming on here. I'm not seeing anyone. I'm doing this for the first time, so I may not be able to, I'm trying to see if the chat is working. So to help me out, somebody type something in the chat so I can see if the chat is working. Okay, there we go. Erin Glass. Hi, Sunshine. Thank you for doing this live. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day as well to you. And Mercedes, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Jasmine. Nice to see you here. So the chat's working, so that's great. Thank you for helping me out with that. So I'm going to go to some of the questions that were posted for today and hopefully get you guys some answers. I wanted to share, I'm actually wearing this top by Danu Organic. It's made with 100% linen and it's one of my favorite tops. It's actually a little thicker, so like the weather is a little cool and rainy today, so it's actually perfect for that without needing a sweater. Linen, I know people think that linen just keeps them cool, but linen can also keep you warm. And yeah, I love that about linen. So, okay, so somebody asked, one question on Instagram is, what determines height? So height is determined to some extent by genetics. I say a large extent by genetics, but also if you are not growing, you could have mineral deficiencies or you could have toxic heavy metals. Happy Trails Wagon Tails, hello, nice to see you here. Okay, so next questions is, hey Manisa, my 11-year-old has brown stuff behind her ears. What is that? I have been able to rub it off with olive oil, but after a few months it comes back. So if there's something accumulating on the skin, it's coming from the lymphatic system and likely from the liver as a root cause. So I would say that you want to make sure you are giving her celery juice and that you're giving her some heavy metal detox smoothie that should help with her skin and give her some aloe as well. I'm not able to say without doing a consult or a reading what that is, but I'd like to, those three things can be super helpful for random, unknown mystery skin issues. Okay, so if you're joining here or you're new to my channel, my name is Muniza Ahmed and I am the intuitive medicine woman. I am a medical intuitive, and so I have the gift of being able to read people's bodies and see what's going on for them. And that's what I do in my private sessions and group coaching, and also to some degree in my membership program. So if you're new here, say hello. And a lot of you, hi Beata, a lot of you are already familiar with my work, at least from the comments that I can see, the people who are watching, who've been following me, say on Instagram, who've been following me on Facebook for years. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I plan to be doing a lot more lives here and growing. And if you guys would like to help me out, please share about my YouTube, because we want to get up to 1,000 people. So once you have 1,000 subscribers, I think I already have 630 something subscribers now, 680 subscribers. And we want to get up to 1,000 so that we can do a lot more lives. They actually make it easier for you when you have more subscribers to be able to do the lives. Hey Dina, nice to see you here. Okay, so next question is from Maria Moran, and she says, does the potato mono cleanse and or all the Emma mono cleanses support a person who is low in iron? If so, how? So low iron is caused by having too high of an Epstein-Barr viral load. So Epstein-Barr actually eats our iron, and there is a variety of Epstein-Barr that actually can cause an increase in iron as well. So most cases of low iron are caused by a viral load and also not getting enough nutrients. Happy trails, wags and tails. After my recent advanced 369, I've been hot and cold on and off throughout the day. Why does it happen? Okay, so I will talk to you in a minute about that question. Hopefully I can catch the feed and see. Definitely the feed shows up. The messages pop onto the screen, but I'm trying to like catch them as they're coming, because then they disappear. Okay, so Mono Cleanse is really great at knocking back a viral load because it's got food in it that doesn't feed anything else. So that's number one. Number two, you're eating a lot of greens. You're eating a lot of butterleaf lettuce and lettuces throughout the day, and that supports your iron levels as well. It's not the most supported for iron, but like if you had to bring in, if you were doing a Mono Cleanse, I would recommend that you bring in nettle leaf, that you bring in, you can do spirulina and barley grass juice powder as a supplement. So you can take some supplements on the cleanse, and that will help you actually maintain iron or keep your iron up as you're doing it. Okay, so coming to Wags and Tails question about feeling cold on the 369. Why does that happen? Because you see the liver is involved in temperature regulation. And most of us, the livers are sick. Our livers are sick. Our livers are actually running hot, right? So a hot liver is not what we want. But when we cleanse and when we drink, this is why when people drink celery juice, they actually find that they get cold right after celery juice not because even if their celery is room temperature and not coming straight out of the fridge, they still feel cold, and the reason is that celery removes toxic liver heat. It actually takes that toxic heat out of the liver, and you feel better, and you feel cold, but it starts to heal the liver, and those temperature fluctuations are a part of lowering your liver heat. And when you lower your core body temperature by lowering your liver heat, which is often toxic liver heat, you'll find that you feel cold, okay? So I hope that answers your question. All right, so next question is, what's the reason for sleepy dust in the eyes in the morning? It's sort of a detoxification. Dina says, absolutely, always cold after my celery juice. Yeah, and then I have my cold HMDS. So another trick, if you don't want to have a cold HMDS, which is basically the heavy metal detox smoothie, if you don't want to have that cold, then make sure that you're leaving your blueberries, which are frozen, out overnight, or leave them in the fridge. Even in the fridge, they'll still be a little cold, but you can leave them out overnight. And if you don't want to have a cold smoothie, that's one way to do it. Because, I mean, you can, people substitute sometimes instead of frozen wild blueberries, you can do Vimergy's wild blueberry powder, or you can even use Wyman's wild blueberry juice in place of the frozen wild blueberries. So it doesn't have to be cold. And in the winter, when people struggle with the temperature of the heavy metal detox smoothie, I usually advise them to make sure their berries are not frozen. Okay, so BB healing. What's the reason for sleepy dust in the eyes? So the sleepy dust in the eyes is caused by detox from the eyes at night. If you have any level of strep in the eyes, you can have a little goop showing up in the side, or you can have crustiness around the eye. To prevent goop and crustiness in the eyes, use a little bit of Sovereign Silver drops into the eyes, and or you can use a Golden Seal wash to use in the eyes. Okay, next question. Andre Judd Chang says, hi, do we release toxic adrenaline in these situations? One, if we get teary-eyed by music that touches us, like when we listen to Alyssa Degati's songs, I tear up. So Andre is asking a question in relationship to the posts and articles that I have written about crying. And you know, when you're crying and doing sort of like a blubbery cry, or you're doing a really, yeah, I'm going to read the question now. I was asked if it's possible to cure congenital cataract in a 4-year-old child without surgery. Okay, I will come to that in a moment. GK, thank you for having us. What do you recommend for head pressure? So guys, you know, I'm going to go to YouTube on my laptop to see if I can follow the questions, because otherwise I won't be able to remember all of the questions as you guys are posting them, right? So give me a moment while I figure this out. Okay, it says live now. I'm gonna turn the sound off. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, I am not seeing the, oh, there we go. I can see the chat. Yay. All right, so I don't have to rush with the question. So I'm going to keep going back to the question that I have for Andre. So Andre's asking, because I've posted before, that when you have an ugly cry from feeling terrible, like grief or sadness or depression or anxiety, or, you know, a really big emotion, or even anger, you release a toxic adrenaline, right? A blend of different types of toxic adrenalines that actually adrenaline will feed the underlying viruses in our body, right? And so he's asking, you know, if we get teary-eyed by music that touches us, is that the same? So no, it's not the same. That's a different type of adrenaline. And he says, so if we tear up watching a touching scene from a film, also not the same. But you don't want to trigger an ugly cry, because the ugly cry will always bring up like a more strong adrenaline within you. If we lift weights, work out, exercise is not a bad adrenaline, it's a good adrenaline. The reason why we tell chronically sick people, people with autoimmune illness who are really struggling, not to work out is because any kind of adrenal uptick in their bodies is too much for them, and then they crash. So while working out is really helpful for your body, it's really not a good idea to overdo that when you are sick. And people who become bedridden, or even if you're not bedridden the whole day, you can be partially bedridden, right? You can be like, I can't get up in the morning, or in the afternoon, I have to go lie down because I just can't function and I cannot get up. So for those people who are still struggling with their symptoms, who still have a lot of neurological symptoms, who have neurological fatigue, working out is not a good idea. The general rule of thumb to know is if you're actually pushing yourself, if you don't feel up and ready to go and work out, like you have all the energy in the world, then very likely you're not ready for it, right? So it's really important to check in. And you check in by actually closing your eyes and relaxing the body. When you relax the body, you can feel the body's truth. And I was talking to a working mom earlier this week, and she's a doctor, and she has a big practice. And, you know, she was saying she's healed a lot on medical medium information. And, you know, I asked her the question, I said, do you feel tired in the afternoon? And her first response was, no, I'm fine. Intuitively, I could feel that there was a level of fatigue. So I kept asking her, I'm like, so do you feel tired? Do you feel tired? Do you feel tired? I asked her maybe 3 or 4 times. And then she said, well, you know, yeah, I do kind of feel like I could fall asleep around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And that's when she sort of relaxed and felt into her body. And she was like, yeah, you know, if I got a bed, I'm like, so if somebody gave you a bed and told you to go lie down, would you do it? And she goes, yeah, I would do it. So that's how you know that, you know, when your body feels ready. Our body communicates to us all the time, but adrenaline will mask often what we're really feeling and what we're really needing, right? So relax the body and check in. That's when people tell me they take sleep supplements the night before, and they will say, I can't handle melatonin. It makes me so groggy in the morning. But it's not the melatonin making you groggy. It's that the melatonin's indicating to you that you haven't had enough sleep. So you should sleep more, and then when you sleep enough, your melatonin won't affect you that way because you've rested enough. When you're groggy, it's telling you you need to sleep more, right? Okay, so when you get excited about something, that's his fourth part of his question. So when you get excited about something, there is a level of adrenaline. It's not the most toxic adrenaline, but it's still adrenaline that could feed bugs. But again, it's one of those things that's the same as exercise. If you cannot handle exercise, then you probably cannot handle too much excitement. I remember when I was younger and I used to get asthmatic a lot. And I recall too much excitement would just make me not able to breathe. So I just want to put that out there. All right, so it's important to know that, right? And there's people who are bedridden, and I remember when I was bedridden after the very crazy spider bite that I had, when I was bedridden, I just couldn't function. And even a little bit of excitement, even my kids running into the room with some good news for me, right, was a bit too much. I used to be like, stop, right? You have to watch yourself. So it's not a question of whether that's toxic or not toxic. It's a question of, can you handle it with your level of sickness or your level of chronic illness, right? So that's what matters the most. Okay, so the next question is from Erin Glass. Erin says, thank you for always educating us. I hope you see this question in time. I was wondering if I drink thyme tea and also lemon balm tea, may I combine them in the evening? Or should I consume them separately? I think it's okay for you to combine them, Erin. Okay, Hannah Reeve says, can't wait for the live. Can you explain if there's a way to prevent back labor when giving birth? Heck yeah! That's like my favorite question. Do you see me light up? What is back labor? First of all, if you don't know what back labor is when usually the baby's head is hitting mom's tailbone as opposed to, so I don't have a visual to explain this, but so a baby comes out in a normal position, face down, anterior, so baby's face is facing mom's butt, right? As opposed to when the baby's facing up, they call that sunny side up. Yeah? So, and that's a posterior position. That's actually not the most comfortable way for a mom to give birth. A mom birthing a baby in posterior position is likely to have more pain because of the way the baby's head will hit her tailbone on its way out. And when it hits the tailbone and labor feels like it's coming from the back to the front, that's called back labor, okay? My sister had back labor with her first son. And when I was actually in Connecticut, she was in New York and in the city. And so I was supposed to be there for her birth. But when my two other sisters were with her and they called me and they said, Maniza, they're like, she's in so much pain. Nothing with the hypnobirthing is working because I taught her hypnobirthing class. And I said, well, tell me where the pain's coming from. And they described it. And she was like, oh my God, my back is just killing me. So I told her, I said, you're in back labor. So we have to turn the baby. So in labor, you can actually turn the baby. And I used 3 techniques from Spinning Baby's website, which I also learned as a hypnobirthing practitioner. And I was educated in that. So there are techniques that you can use to turn the baby. If you don't know them, you should have a midwife or a doula who knows them so they can help you turn the baby. I helped her over Skype in those days. It was over Skype, and my sisters and I were going back and forth, and I was telling her what position to get into and how to move and how to turn the baby while she was in labor. I didn't leave to go to New York until I knew that her back labor was gone. So I was on the Skype with them for about an hour, and after she's like, oh my, I could tell on her face, right? She's like, oh my God, I feel so much better, like it's not in my back anymore. And I said, where is it now? And she said, oh, it's all in the front, where it's supposed to be. So yes, there are techniques that you can use to turn a baby in that's giving you back labor in labor, but also you can prevent that from happening before time by making sure you're going to a chiropractor, making sure that you're keeping the pelvic girdle in good shape. So sometimes, like, a woman's pelvic girdle is shaped as a bowl. And so when either side of your pelvis can go out of alignment, you can become like flat on one side. And so that will push the baby on in a way, in a position, so the baby will have less room. There's already a lot of a tight space inside the womb for the baby, so the baby has to really squish. So the more space that we can create for the baby, the better it is. And also making sure that you're on all fours and moving your hips side to side before labor starts, and making sure that you're doing a little bit of prenatal yoga to open the hips and make sure you have space, and making sure that you're like bouncing on a ball and not sitting in a car for too long. And a bucket seat of a car can be really difficult for someone who's in back labor, or can actually result in a woman experiencing more back labor because it puts off the alignment of the pelvic girdle. So for a pregnant woman, it's really important to check that. So you want to go to a chiropractor who is specialized in the Webster technique, and when you do that, you'll feel much more ready. So I never had back labor, but I know that my first daughter struggled to come out because I could feel like the twinges of her struggling to come out in her labor. And when she was born, she had a bruise over her right eye, and I knew that she had been injured in the process of giving birth, even though the birth was not as intense for me. So it's really important to check position matters a lot. The position of the baby matters a lot for how your labor will go. So Hannah, that's a good question. I hope you got the answer that you needed. Okay, coming to the feed in YouTube. So Beata says, I was asked if it's possible to cure a congenital cataract, right? Okay, so congenital cataracts, they're not congenital, first of all. They're not caused by genetics. They're actually caused by poisons coming from the mom's liver, coming into the baby and settling into the baby's eyes. So yes, I have been working with a couple of baby clients who have that. But the thing is that parents sometimes get really anxious, and if the parents really want to commit to the way to heal this, you can, but it will take time. And if they can be patient, that will be great. But sometimes parents are not, and they opt for the surgery instead. Things that you can do is to make sure the baby's diet is completely clean from the get-go, right? Starting with the lemon water as soon as the child is old enough. But even before that, before the child can start lemon water, you can start the child on celery juice. You can start the child on heavy metal detox. As long as the child is 6 months old, you can do heavy metal detox, and prior to that, you can do minimum amounts of celery juice. I'm not sure how old. Oh, you said the child is 4 years old, so definitely you can start the morning routine with this child. Bring in Epstein-Barr, antiviral supplements for Epstein-Barr. I would bring in more support for the eyes. I would bring in a lot more antioxidants. Wild blueberries are excellent for the eyes. So as much wild blueberry juice that you can get into this child. And, saffron really helps. Saffron tea can really help with that. But also, Hawaii Farm makes a saffron tincture that can be helpful for cataracts. So you want to make sure you're giving the child that. And working with, like I said, antioxidants. So more spirulina, more barley grass juice powder, more chaga, more ALA, more CoQ10. And I often go really low with antioxidants for young children because they don't need that many. So you want to really work with that. Beata, I hope you have good luck in helping your 4-year-old client. Okay, let me know if I answered your question, Beata. Okay, so sometimes people ask me like why I sound like I'm out of breath when I'm doing these lives, and the only reason is that I get really excited, and I've got my Oura Ring fixed. I don't have it on me right now because it's charging, but like when I go live and my Oura Ring is on, it actually registers me as having a workout. So you can imagine how like worked up and excited I am to like do the lives, that my Oura Ring starts to register like an increase in heart rate, and then my breathing becomes a little bit more shallow. And that's the only reason why I sound like I'm out of breath, is because I'm excited and I'm actually really enjoying doing the Q&A. All right, so GK says, hi, thank you for having us. What do you recommend for head pressure? So if you're having head pressure, very likely there's some swelling going on in the brain, and that's what puts pressure on the head. So if you have brain inflammation, and of course I'm not doing a reading, so I'm not able to tell you exactly what is going on until I do a reading, but this is just a very general way of looking at it. So you don't have a headache, you just have head pressure. So if you have a headache, that's an inflammation of the nerves, like either the trigeminal nerves that come from the top of the head into the face, or the vagus nerve that runs from the stomach all the way up to the cranium. That's what causes a headache. But if you have pressure in the head, that's coming from having a swollen brain. That's called encephalitis. And so for that, I would recommend doing a strong anti-EBV protocol and getting on with doing the 369 cleanses, because that's, pretty intense. Some people, whenever you register slight swelling in the brain, even if it's very mild, even if it cannot be picked up by an MRI or a CAT scan, you're going to feel it, which is what you're doing. So unless your head pressure is coming from sinuses that are blocked, which can also cause pressure, it's brain swelling. Okay, I hope that answered your question. Happy trails, wags and tails. Pain around head, like a band around the head, starting recently, normally in the morning. That is viral. That is from nerves being attacked by viruses. So that's either, very likely, I think that's shingles for you. So hopefully you can up your shingles protocol to help with that. And for shingles protocol, you want to include the core 7. What I call the core 7 is B12, zinc, lysine, micro C, cat's claw, lemon balm, and licorice root. And then, of course, to be a more shingle-specific protocol, you want to bring in some propolis, mullein, and golden seal. And then also ALA, magnesium, neuromag, curcumin are all going to be super important to deal with a headache of that nature. Also, make sure that you're hydrating first thing in the morning, because you don't know whether that's coming from being super dehydrated. Yeah? Okay. All right. Next question is from Mercedes. And Mercedes asks, when a baby cannot tolerate her mother's milk, is it because of toxic milk from or blood from the mother herself? It's very likely mom's eating something that the baby cannot handle, right? Mom is eating something baby cannot handle. So that's really important to consider and to look at. What is mom eating that the baby's not tolerating? It never happens that a baby cannot tolerate its own mother's milk. Mother's milk is designed by God for your baby. It's never the case. If there's something in the milk that the mom's eating that's causing the baby to react, which is a real phenomena, which a lot of pediatricians will tell you is not true, it is true. I've seen massive changes happen in women and their babies and their nursing journeys with their babies when they change their diet. Things improve. It's a really important thing to be aware of. Yeah? All right, next question is from Michelle Kresser. She says, I'm waiting for blood work. I feel like my body is not accepting hydration. If I have to go to the hospital, how to handle all the blood work there? Is there anything that I can do? So, Michelle, if you're waiting for blood work, I think that you need to check first. On that, you need to check first that what shows up first in the blood work. And then if you have other steps to take, and if you have other next steps, we address those if and when you need them. So I wouldn't just automatically say to you, go ahead and, how to handle blood work at a hospital. I would say that you get faint from blood work, which you do. And so you need to tell the doctor that, and go from there. Add salt and see if it makes a difference, but bringing in, if you can do the pound of greens a day, that would be super helpful. Happy Trail says, wow, your hair is so much longer. My hair is long. And I just cut it. I cut it about 3 inches, so it was even longer than this. But yeah. All right, so those are the questions on YouTube. If you have more questions for me, I'm going to go back to the Instagram feed. Clean, strong, and healthy says, hi, Maniza. My daughter has a lot of acne and very painful endometriosis and bladder issues. She's had to cut out several supplements due to her budget. She now only has about $75 a week to spend on supplements. Am I correct that these are the best ones for her to buy? Zinc, B12, lysine, lemon balm, nettle, micro C, D-mannose. She's not only still in pain every month, but it has gotten worse. She's still strict on fat-free and grain-free. Any advice is greatly appreciated. I would say look at what else is going on in her life. from what's triggering more adrenaline, because it's only getting worse because something is making it get worse. So as you have to become, your own detective, and one of the things about becoming your own detective is to start looking at the other factors. What's playing in? Is she eating every 2 hours? Is she taking care of her adrenals? Is she managing her stress? Is she able to, is she crying? Is she sexually active? Sometimes all of those things can play a role. Jasmine, I see your question. I'll answer it in a moment. So with endometriosis and bladder issues, yes, you've got some of the good things in there, but you don't have cat's claw. Endometriosis is caused by Epstein-Barr, and so you need some cat's claw in the mix, right? So I would definitely bring some cat's claw in there. And I would bring some licorice. I would bring some Oregon grapefruit if you can, and I would definitely bring some olive leaf to bring in up the antivirals, because those will help as well. All right. I hope that answers your question, clean, strong, healthy. Okay, next question is, what is the best way to cook potatoes? This is by CLS 6700. Should they be steamed first? Is it okay to just roast them in the oven? Definitely steam them first, and then they cook faster. But steaming potatoes is considered the best way to eat them, because that's when you maintain a lot of the nutrients. Steaming food, steaming vegetables is the closest to eating them raw. It keeps the most nutrients in there. So when you roast or bake, which is fine to do, you can do that, but it's definitely bringing you less nutrients from the food. Next question, some public gift. Kristen says, I love your pick. Oh, okay. That's not a real question. Okay, so I think those are all the questions on Instagram. Let's see if we have any questions on Facebook. Okay, no questions on Facebook, and there's another question on YouTube. So I'm coming back to YouTube. Jasmine, you said, what do you recommend for heart palpitations and high pulse? Heart palpitations are caused by a sticky residue jelly that leaves the liver. It's created by Epstein-Barr, and it leaves the liver and it goes to the heart, because the blood from the liver goes straight to the heart first. It's clean blood ready for the body to use, and with that can break off some of the sticky jelly, which when it goes to the heart, it causes the heart to palpitate, and once it moves through the heart, will pass by. That's one cause. The second cause of heart palpitations, which is less common and way more severe, but it's less common, this is more rare, is a swelling of the cranial nerves. So Anthony talks about the vagus nerve is not one nerve, it's multiple nerves. So he calls it vagus nerves. So when the cranial nerves and the vagus nerves are swollen for a long period of time, that can cause constant palpitations, which just don't go away, right? So there's two different kinds with two different sort of causes. And a high pulse is also related to having a lot of poison circulating, and the body's trying to work them and get rid of them, and having adrenaline trigger in the body too. So a lot of it comes down to managing your liver. I don't know if you've done any 369 cleanses, Jasmine, but those will help. And getting in another glass of celery juice later in the afternoon, that will help as well. Okay, next question is from Mint Tea. Hi Maniza, what mascara are you recommending? I have a whole list of beauty guide recommendations. I have a beauty guide in the Greening Your Home, and it lists all the makeup that I recommend. For mascara, I recommend Zooey. All right, next question is from Jason. Hey Jason, nice to see you here too. Oh, it's not a question, he's just saying hello. Kimi says, what can I do to get asbestos I had some contact with as a child to get out of your system? So I would recommend doing the morning cleanse, which is the lemon water, celery juice, heavy metal detox, dandelion, burdock, lots of cucumber juice for flushing, lots of hydration, extra hydration. So a lot of people I find will do the morning cleanse great, right? They'll do the lemon water, they'll do the celery juice, they'll do the heavy metal detox smoothie, and then they kind of forget about what else they should be having the rest of the day. And in terms of hydration, so they'll eat a lot of MM compliant meals, right? They'll eat their meals, they'll do all the right foods, but they don't hydrate as much as we would like them to hydrate. So I would say make sure that you are doing heavy metal detox smoothie regularly, and that you are, because that's one of, heavy metal detox doesn't just remove heavy metals. It is a fantastic liver detoxifier for radiation and for pesticides and for all other kinds of poisons. So it's important to bring that morning routine in to your day so that you can do that first of all, and then continue to hydrate the rest of the day. So for example, either choose to do a celery juice or a cucumber juice in the afternoon, and then more lemon water later in the evening, or a watermelon blend or watermelon juice. Either way, you'll be in good shape. All right, so those are all the questions that you guys put up. It is Mother's Day weekend, our first YouTube live on Mother's Day weekend. I'm so excited to do this. Again, if you're new to me, my name is Muniza Ahmed. I am the intuitive medicine woman. I am a medical intuitive, and I have the gift of being able to read people's bodies, which is how I help people in my private sessions and group sessions. And I use that in my membership community as well. If you're new, please check out all the links that we have posted below in the description of the live, and check us out. Check out my website, munizaahmed.com. I just saw another question come up, so I'm going to look at that. It's Manouk from Permanent Makeup, and she says, I have rosacea. My skin does not like oily or fatty creams or oils, but it is so dry on the surface. What do you recommend? I recommend that you get, I have a couple of, on my Instagram reels, I have a post that is close to like January of this year, where I posted a bunch of products that are super helpful for dry skin, and I posted it for the winter. So I would recommend that you use something from Living Libations, like their rose oil, which is very light and it's not a heavy oil, but it's because it's loaded with healing essential oils for the skin. It's super healing. And then also I would recommend using Best Skin Ever. And all of these products are available also in my Amazon store if you want to go check that out. And if you don't know where my Amazon store is, just ping me on, DM me on Instagram or DM me on Facebook, and I will send you the link. All right, so Beata says, my 11-year-old dog has been incontinent for a short time. Can this be the same causes for us as humans? Well, yes, there's definitely either something, well, for your dog, what comes through is something going on with the dog's nerves, like the nerves that go to the bladder. So I would focus on doing more, I would focus on doing a little bit more antivirals for the dog. That would make, whatever are safe for dogs to do. Hey Celia Shu, hey Sohail, nice to see you here, love. Okay, so Manouk says, essential oils and oils are not good for rosacea. I have many clients, my love, who have benefited lots and lots from dealing with using Nadine's products, Living Libations products for skin that are really helpful, including when I had eczema and I needed to put stuff on my skin. Like I said, there's a reel out there that has all the products listed. So there are other ones as well without any essential oils. In fact, it's very hard today to find products that are completely free of any essential oils. You know, all of them have something in them. So I have some products listed. So let me see if I can pull them up for you right now, because I'm not remembering the exact names of some of them. Okay, so we have a lotion, but I'm not sure if a lotion will help you. I think putting aloe on your skin, that's also something that you can use. But like I said, I have many clients with rosacea and eczema, and I used to have eczema on my skin too, on my face, and Nadine's products always help me. So if you don't wish to use any oils, use aloe. And if you check out also Anthony's pomegranate seed oil, that is also super healing for skin with eczema and things like that. The thing is, these plant-based botanicals are healing to the skin. I wouldn't recommend any just regular essential oils. I think the ones formulated by Nadine from Living Libations she knows what she's doing for skin products, and they really do help and make a difference. Okay, I hope that helps. What's your handle? Manuk. Okay. All right, next question is Happy Trails, Wags and Tails. She is a expert with animals. So if you have questions, Beata, about your dog and what your dog can handle, ask her, because she knows and she gives them to her dogs regularly. And so she's saying that dogs can have lemon balm, CJ, HMDS. Actually, I know for a fact that dogs can have B12 and zinc as well. So start there. All right, so Hale says, my mom has a chronic cough. It's like her throat gets randomly agitated and she cannot stop coughing, especially at night. Do you know in which protocols I should look for her? Look in Cleanse to Heal and look for cough. But what you can do for that is to make sure she's on the core 7. So make sure she's on B12, zinc, micro C, lysine, Cascal, lemon balm, licorice root. But on top of that, you want to make sure she's doing golden seal, mullein, the bronchitis broth that is in Life Changing Foods. It's in equal parts of celery, onion, and radishes. And then also help her steam with hot steam from boiling water and cut into it and put fresh onion in there and cover her head and let her steam that, and that will help to clear the cough as well. But I would also bring in, say, the turmeric shots. I would bring in the turmeric, garlic, ginger, and orange juice shots, 1 to 2 teaspoons a day, which will help with the chronic cough as well. But mullein is really important, and also lomatium, Sohail, can be super helpful for knocking out a chronic cough. I would make sure she's not doing any grains, because grains impact that as well. So grains, any like rice, millet, quinoa, wheat, gluten, like you've got to cut out the foods that don't help. So making sure you're cutting out all grain, right? Eggs, dairy, gluten, especially corn, soy. These are all grains that you don't want in there, but you don't even want rice and other grains in there, because coughs don't go away until you cut out grains. I hope it helps. Okay, so Celia says, can you shed some light on Reiki healing? So, Reiki healing, I think, Celia, as long as you're connecting in with God's light, whatever you do will be fine. I think that when people go to, spirit guides and things like that, not to knock it, I think that some of them work really well, but I'm saying that when we're connecting on the other side, we're trusting what the person on the other side is telling us, or the being on the other side is telling us about who they are. And since we know that darkness operates on trickery and deception, how do you know you're not being deceived? I think that's the biggest question. So you just want to be careful. And for a practitioner who's just connecting with God directly in God's light, I think that's the best way. I hope that makes sense. I don't want to get into trouble, because I do think Reiki practitioners can be really great. All right, so Jason, I've got one. Which angel would you think would be the most appropriate to pray for money when times are dire? I've prayed to the angel of mercy mostly for helping with a money shower. Oh, okay. So I would call on the angel of mercy for sure. I would call on, I would actually do a lot of meditating on the wild blueberry. If you go read in Life Changing Foods, he talks about how the wild blueberry is the key to manifesting abundance, and how drinking it, meditating. Remember, he says to meditate on the purple color of the juice or the purple color of the berry before you consume it, or while you're consuming it. That's really helpful to connect in with the abundance, because wild blueberries are abundant, right? I mean, all fruit is. If you think about fruit and you think about one apple tree, we used to have an apple tree and it was a baby tree, and this baby tree produced like 40, 60 fruit in a season, and we were like, oh my God, that's so much. But a mature tree can produce like 300 fruit or 400 or 500. So literally, like, nature is abundant. But in particular, he writes in Life Changing Foods about the abundance and the qualities of abundance that wild blueberries can bring you. So I would do that. And then I would call on the angel of promise to fulfill. If you have promises from someone who needed to pay you something that wasn't paid, or a promise of work being offered and it's not being offered, you know, promises, an angel of promise can help people keep their promises to you. That could involve financial abundance. And then I would call on the angel of habit to help you develop habits that help you work towards gaining your abundance as well. Whatever you have to do for that, right? So check that out, and I hope that helps, Jason. So Hill says, she's listening right now. You're an angel. Thank you so much. We're writing everything down. I'm so glad. I'm so glad to help. And tomorrow, I have something so special launching. Well, it's for mothers, but it's really for anybody, right? But it's emergency kits. It's a very special surprise. It's emergency kits for mamas who need immediate help in figuring out like what to do for a kid who's got a flu, cough, and cold, what to do for a kid or a person who has a fever. And there's tips and tricks in there that I've never shared publicly before, so check those out. And I have also support for digestive issues, which can be so common for babies and young toddlers and children and teens and even adults. So make sure you're signing up for that for that special gift that's coming out tomorrow. It's only on the newsletter, so if you want to get them, make sure you're signed up to my newsletter. Go to munizaahmed.com. That's MUNEEZAAHMED.com/newsletter/ and you'll find it and you'll be able to sign up. Or you can sign up for any of my free resources on my website, including the starter course for free, and you'll be signed up for the newsletter to get our surprises for tomorrow. Okay. Happy trails, wags, and tails. Of course, you have so much knowledge about animals. Why I think more people in the community can benefit. Also for dogs, spirulina is super helpful, Beata, and it's really supportive to the neurological system. So you can give them that. You can give them barley grass juice powder. You can actually give them every ingredient in the HMDS. So more of that would be great. Lisa says, thank you for the grain info. Sahil says, thank you. You're welcome. Celia, you're welcome. Jason, you're welcome. So Manu says, does Anthony ever speak about hydrolats? They are made in a copper distill but have a glass distillate. Hydrolats are true heal waters, aren't they? I'm not quite sure what you mean by hydrolats. I have a sense of what you mean by heal waters, but yeah, I think that he's never actually spoken about it. Yeah. Lisa, happy Mother's Day to you as well. All right, you guys, it was so fun hanging out and doing this YouTube live with all of you for the first time, launching our YouTube channel. Please share with everybody. Please help us get to 1,000 people so we can actually do more of these. We get more features and more benefits to be able to do more lives. They don't actually let you do lives a lot when you are less than 1,000 people. So if you guys please share on your Instagram, share the link so people can subscribe. Subscribe, please. If you haven't subscribed, if you are watching and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel because that helps us get to that 1,000 people so we can do more lives. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for your questions. Your questions are awesome. And I look forward to doing more of these with you. We'll be doing more lives on YouTube. We'll be doing more lives on other platforms as well. So look out for that because we are expanding beyond Instagram. I have to tell you a little secret about what Instagram does. Instagram actually, Instagram knocks out 75% of my followers every day. People follow and they knock out 75% of my followers. So I am looking to look at other platforms, but also on Instagram, if you have your post notifications on, they won't knock you out as quickly. So if you have your post notifications on and you're following, you have to you have to save the posts and then you'll see them. So, and then Instagram won't knock you out. So if you guys can do that and share that, please, we're trying to get to more people to get this really critical healing information out there. I would be so grateful. Thank you all for hanging out with me, and I look forward to seeing you again on the live next weekend. All right, bye everyone.